So actually, we also want to talk about the startups and the startup
Yep.
ecosystem in India. But just before that, you have been associated with Midas for some time now,
Yes.
and you have coached more than 200 students in building, in upscaling their family business or creating something of their own.
Yep.
So, what makes Midas different from traditional B schools, and why this approach of experiential learning makes that difference? So, what is your take on this?
I think Midas is probably one of the only schools that I have come across, at least in India, and one of the most you can say sought after. Very composed and very simplified in their approach, right? Why Midas is different is for multiple reasons. I'll tell you that. In fact, I reached out to Pooja, right, when I was probably going through Instagram and I saw her video and I really liked it. And I'm like, this is one great idea. It's some interesting concept which is being built in India. And I was passionate about education, right? And I reached out to Pooja and I said that, I really want to know what are you kind of doing with entrepreneurs? I really want to contribute, right? And at that point of time, I was working with a venture capital fund. And she told me that, we are simply focusing on students and early stage entrepreneurs who really want to build something, right? And we are probably providing them all the guidance. Why don't you come to Pune and, have a visit on the campus? And I went to Pune for a session. And, she told me that these are kids and these are early stage entrepreneurs, right? Probably all were under the age of 23. They want to build their own startups. And, we don't try to push them. We don't force them to give any examination, right? We don't force them to write things down. We don't force them to, solve things on paper, right? We don't make them learn about income tax and GST on paper. Anything that we do has to be out of paper. Right? It has to be hands-on. So when we talk about digital marketing, there will be somebody who has probably worked in digital marketing for about 4 or 5 years, maybe 7 years, knows how to run Meta ads, knows how to run Google ads, knows the basics of performance marketing. Now that person is coming here and teaching you how to run ads for your own business. Right? Mind you, I'm not asking you to write an exam. I'm not asking you to read a book. I'm just showing you the real way of how things are done, right? And these things are very dynamic. They keep changing every year, right? So you have to be updated with those, right? This is just one example about, let's say marketing. When I went there and I asked her, how can I contribute? She said, you have experience with venture capital. Why don't you tell these students what do investors look for in a startup? How to create a pitch deck? What is a business model? And how do you create a financial model? Because let's say most of them are maybe from a science background. It's quite possible they are even from a commerce or an arts background, but still they don't know these advanced financial concepts. Why don't you do it for them? Now, the difference between other courses out there and what we do at Midas is very simple, that I don't really want you to, just learn something from the book about finance, write a paper, solve a few questions, and then move out. What I really want you to do is that think of an idea, and then I will teach you how you create a financial or a business model. Then you please create a business model for your own business. Right. And the mistakes that you make or the errors that you make, I'm going to help you with those. Right. You might have your own idea, right? So why don't you first build your own pitch deck, right? Which you would give to a startup, right? And let me help you in building that pitch deck, because I've seen pitch decks, I've made pitch decks, I've probably evaluated them. So I know which are some things that you must do or you must not do, right? The next thing that we will go on to, before you even launch your product, try to do some primary research. Try to understand how your potential customer is thinking. What does he like? What he doesn't like? Maybe create a customer persona, right? And think about what kind of problems you can solve for them. Now, I don't think there is anybody or any school which is actually doing these things. And I'm totally convinced. I have been a part of the traditional education system in India, right? It is only after that I did my C, and I'm totally convinced that that education is just about 10%. These are the 90% practical skills which nobody's talking about, right? And we need more and more institutions to talk about it, right, at an affordable cost, coming from the people who are actually having that experience. And I think Midas is the only school probably that I know of is doing, and I'm very happy to be associated, to be honest, because I see no other place where I can deliver these same things, deliver this knowledge to the people who need it in a seminar session or in a classroom session or maybe in a one-to-one networking session, right? I don't see this happening anywhere, and I think this makes it unique, and I really hope it probably expands to almost all parts of India, because we really want everybody to benefit. And I'll give you one last point. It's very easy for IITians and IIMs to go for entrepreneurship, because I'll tell you, most of the venture capital investors in India, they have this bias, right? And even I used to have this bias at one point of time. Oh my God, if he's from IIT Delhi, if he's from IIT Bombay, and if maybe he's from the Kharagpur, or maybe he's from IIM Lucknow, or maybe Ahmedabad, then he has to have some of the great ideas, which is true. He will absolutely have those ideas. I'm not saying he won't have it, but does that also mean that the other folks won't have it? It's not like that.
Yes.
It's totally possible that other people will have equal amount of ideas. They will have better ideas. They might have more hunger to execute than this person. Right? It's quite possible. So why are we leaving out these? Because we have a bias. Right? And this is exactly one of the biases that I also wanted to break. That of course the IITs and the IIMs have it.
Right.
So, but how much? Kitne 400 bache hote? There are like 400 students in each IIM. So how much? And there are so many people in India who would be happy to take their own startup and grow it. Right. So I think I really want to cater to probably all the students that are there. And I think Midas is one point where they should absolutely come and meet. Right. And I think you will get the same ecosystem irrespective of who you are. I think this makes it the most unique.